They're saying 12 states are banning gun registration in June 2026. But that headline can trick you into doing the one thing gun owners can't afford to do. Relax. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed? Because what I'm about to reveal could save you from a decade in prison. Hit that button now. Here's what just happened. A claim is spreading fast online. You've probably seen it on YouTube, Shorts, TikTok, or Facebook. It says something like, June 2026 is the deadline, and 12 states are banning gun registration requirements. That sounds simple. It sounds like a big win. It sounds like you can stop worrying. But when you actually look for the hard proof, it gets messy. Because gun law doesn't usually change in one big wave. It changes in pieces. It changes by topic. It changes by state. And it changes in ways that can fool normal people. So in this video, I'm going to give you the clean, practical truth. I'm going to explain what registration really means. I'm going to explain why the 12 states in June 2026 claim doesn't match what solid sources actually show. And I'm going to show you the real danger. The danger is not the headline. The danger is what you might do because you believed it. First, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. When most people say gun registration, they mean the government has a list. Not just a list of guns, a list that ties a specific gun by serial number to you. That's different from a background check. That's different from a gun store keeping paperwork. And it's different from a carry permit database. Those things can feel similar, but they work differently, and the consequences are different. And now here's the problem. Online, people mash all of it together into one scary word, registry. Then they say, your state is banning registration, and you think that means your risk is gone, but that is not how it works. So let me break this down in a way you can actually use. Segment 1, the 3 types of records that people confuse with registration. First type, gun store records. If you buy from a gun store, you fill out paperwork. That paperwork exists. It's part of how the system works. Even if your state is super pro-gun, that paperwork still exists. A lot of people hear no registration and think no paperwork. That's not true. Second type, permit records. If you apply for a concealed carry permit, many states keep records on permit holders. That is not a list of your guns. It's a list of permit holders. But in real life, during real police contact, it can still matter. If you think nobody knows you have a permit, you might be wrong. Third type, reporting rules. Some states have rules about reporting lost or stolen guns. Some states have rules tied to certain categories of guns. Some states have rules tied to moving into the state. These are not always called registration, but they can still create legal traps. That's why this topic is so dangerous, because the headline makes you think everything is simple, and the real world is not simple. Now, let's talk about the claim itself. Segment 2, is there really a June 2026 12 states ban? If this claim is real, it should be easy to verify. It should name the states. It should cite the bills, it should show the effective dates, and it should link to the actual legal text. But the viral versions of this claim usually don't do any of that. They just say 12 states, like it's a magic number. Here's what I found when checking credible, trackable info. There are sources that discuss how federal law blocks a universal national registry for most firearms. There are sources that say some states prohibit state-level registries. There are also sources showing some states require registration broadly, like Hawaii. And there are sources showing future-dated gun law changes in 2026 in certain states. But there is not one confirmed single June 2026 event, where exactly 12 states all ban gun registration requirements at once. So what's the best way to explain what's happening? People are blending 3 real things into one fake wave. Real thing number 1, some states already have anti-registry rules. These laws are not new. They usually say the state can't keep a registry of lawful gun owners or lawful guns. Florida is a common example where the statute language is clearly anti-registry. Real thing number 2, some states do require registration, at least in certain ways. Hawaii is commonly cited as having broad registration rules. So when people say only a few places do this, they're not wrong. But that's different from saying 12 states are banning it in June 2026. Real thing number 3, there are gun law changes with 2026 effective dates. California, for example, lists multiple firearm law changes, and some of them have 2026 effective dates. That creates perfect countdown content. Creators love countdown content. It gets clicks. So somebody sees effective July 1st, 2026 on a real state page and turns it into June 2026 is the big gun law deadline. Then other creators stack unrelated issues on top, like registration. And that's how you end up with a viral claim that sounds true, even when it isn't. Now let's get personal. Because you don't care about internet drama. You care about one question. Will you get in trouble if you do the wrong thing? And the answer is yes. If you misunderstand your state's rules, you can get crushed. Not because you're a criminal, but because paperwork and deadlines are unforgiving. So let's go practical. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video about the 5 words that protect you when cops ask about your gun. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Segment 3, the Are You Safe? Checklist you can use tonight. I'm going to give you 6 questions. If you answer them honestly, you will know whether your state is safe from registration problems. Question 1, does your state require registration of all firearms? If yes, you are not in the safe group. You need to know your deadlines, your forms, and your penalties. Question 2, does your state require registration of certain firearms only? Some states do targeted registration. For example, they may focus on certain defined categories. If that applies to you, you need to know what category your gun fits into, because I didn't know is not a defense in most real-life situations. Question 3, does your state ban or limit firearm registries? This is where anti-registry laws come in. But don't get lazy here. A registry ban can still allow other records. It can also have exceptions for law enforcement use, or exceptions tied to specific programs. So even a registry ban is not a free pass. Question 4, does your state have a carry permit list? This is not gun registration, but it can still affect you, especially if you think the officer has no idea you're a permit holder. Question 5, do you travel with firearms? If you cross state lines, you're playing 2 sets of rules, your home rules and the destination rules. The moment you cross the border, things can change. Question 6, are you moving to another state? Moving is the biggest trap, because some states treat new residents differently. You might have a deadline like 30 days, 60 days, or immediately after arrival. If you miss it, you can end up in a legal mess. Now let me give you a scenario that feels real. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Imagine you move from a state with no registration requirement into a state with strict rules. You bring your guns, you keep them locked up, you do everything safely, but you don't file the correct paperwork. Now you're not unsafe because the gun is dangerous. You're unsafe because the government believes you ignored a legal duty. And that is how people get jammed up. Not for doing something violent, for doing something paper-related. Now let's talk about the biggest myth that gets people hurt. Segment 4, the if I'm legal at home, I'm legal everywhere lie. Most gun owners think the same way. They think if they bought the gun legally, they are safe. They think if they have a permit, they are safe. They think if their state is pro-gun, they are safe. But the truth is, state lines matter. And the truth is, certain states have rules that can turn your normal day into a nightmare. Picture this. You're on a family trip. You stop for food. You're tired. You take a wrong turn. You end up in an area you didn't plan to be in. You get pulled over for speeding or a busted taillight. Now you're face to face with a police officer. You want to do the right thing, but you're not sure what the law requires you to say. You're not sure whether your gun must be declared. You're not sure whether your gun is legal there at all. And you're definitely not thinking about registration. That's why I'm so serious about this. People focus on carry laws and forget about the other side of the world. Possession rules, transport rules, deadlines, registration rules, reporting rules. That's where the traps are. Now I want to be very clear about something. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Good? Now we can keep going. Segment 5. What anti-registry laws really do and what they do not do. An anti-registry law is usually aimed at one thing, stopping the government from building a master list of lawful gun owners and lawful guns. That's it. It does not automatically stop every type of record. It does not delete gun store paperwork. It does not delete carry permit lists. It does not necessarily stop certain law enforcement systems. It does not change federal law on NFA items. So when someone tells you, my state banned registration, your follow-up should be simple. Ask, what exactly did the law ban? Because if they can't tell you, they are repeating a slogan, not a fact. And slogans don't protect you in court. Now here's the part that shocked me when I first learned this years ago. Even pro-gun rules can create confusion. Because a state might say, no registry, but still require you to do something that feels like registration in a special case. So you hear the pro-gun message and lower your guard. That's when mistakes happen. Now let's address one more piece of confusion. Segment 6. Why June 2026 might still matter, even if the headline is wrong. Even when a viral claim is wrong, it can still point to a real issue. And the real issue is this. Many states pass laws with delayed effective dates. That means the law is signed today, but it activates later, sometimes much later. So by the time you feel the impact, you've already forgotten the news story. That's why 2026 gets used as a countdown year, because it gives creators something to point at. But you should use it as a warning sign, not a celebration. A warning sign that you need to check your own state's timeline, because the law doesn't care what year you heard about it. The law cares what day it took effect and what day you acted. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the 50,000 gun owners who get these updates first. Click subscribe. Segment 7, the Do This Now plan. I'm going to give you a simple plan you can follow without being a lawyer. Step 1, find your state's official firearm pages or official statutes site. Don't rely on a meme. Don't rely on a comment section. Look for official language. Search within the page for the words registration, registry, and firearm records. Step 2, check if your state has any special registration rules, even if it's not all guns, even if it's only certain categories, even if it's only for new residents. Step 3, if you travel, check the destination state before you leave, not after you arrive, before you leave. Treat it like checking the weather, because if you can check the weather before a trip, you can check gun rules too. Step 4, if you move, treat it like a serious project. Write down your move date, write down your arrival date, write down any deadlines. If you're unsure, call an attorney. One short call can prevent a life-changing charge. Step 5, don't confuse permitless carry with permitless everything. Some states are very relaxed on carry, but strict on other things, or strict in certain cities, or strict about certain locations. Step 6, don't assume no registry means no consequences. Even without registration, there are still crimes, there are still prohibited places, there are still rules for handling police contact, there are still rules for minors, there are still rules for storage in some states, there are still rules for how you transport. So here's my warning to you. Don't make this mistake. Don't let a pro-gun headline make you careless. Careless gun owners don't stay gun owners for long. Now, I want to circle back to the title of this video. 12 states banning registration requirements in June 2026. If you believe that, you might think you can stop worrying. But I want you to do the opposite. I want you to treat that headline like an alarm bell, not because it's proven true, but because it highlights how fast confusion spreads. And confusion is dangerous, because confusion makes good people do dumb things. Now let's talk about the one place this gets really serious. Police contact. Imagine you're at a traffic stop and the officer asks you a simple question. Do you have any weapons in the car? Your heart rate jumps, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to create a problem, and you don't want to end up in handcuffs over a misunderstanding. This is where education matters, because in that moment, you don't have time to Google, you don't have time to rewatch this video, you just have time to be calm and follow the law. That's why I keep hammering the same point. Stop trusting viral summaries. Start verifying real rules. Now I'll give you one more hypothetical to make this stick. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. You live in a state with no registration requirement. You buy a handgun. You keep it at home. Then your cousin invites you to a wedding in another state. You throw the handgun in a bag. You lock it up. You think you're good. But you don't know that the destination state has stricter rules about where you can possess, how you can transport, and what paperwork might apply for certain firearms. You get stopped. The officer finds it. Now you're not dealing with your home rules. You're dealing with theirs. That's the trap. Now, does that mean you should never travel with guns? No. It means you should travel like a responsible adult. You should plan. You should verify. You should do it right. Now, I promised you storytelling, so let me give you the real-life kind of story that happens every year. A person buys a firearm legally, they do the background check, they store it safely, they never commit a crime. Then they move, or they travel, or they loan it to someone in a way that's not allowed, or they miss a reporting deadline. Then suddenly they're in the system, not because they're bad, because they didn't know. That is what I'm trying to help you avoid. Now, I'm going to say something that might bother some people. Sometimes the most dangerous gun law content is pro-gun content, because it can make you feel safe when you're not. It can make you think the fight is over when it isn't. It can make you think, my state protected me, when you still have responsibilities. So here's the honest takeaway. Even if your state bans registries, you still need to know your rules. Even if your state has no registration requirement, you still need to know travel rules. Even if you think you'll never move, you still might. And even if you never move, your family might. And if you loan or gift a gun, rules can change. This information could literally expire after January 2026. Subscribe now because the next video explains exactly what you need to do before that deadline hits. Now we're at the end, so let me give you the simple summary. The 12 states in June 2026 claim is not something you should trust without a clear list, bill numbers, and direct proof. But the bigger issue is still real. Some places require registration. Some places ban registries. And many people confuse registries, store paperwork, permits, and reporting rules. If you remember only one thing, remember this. Your freedom depends on details. And details are where internet headlines fail you. If this video helped you, subscribe right now. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to keep you informed so you don't get blindsided. And if you know another gun owner who lives on Facebook headlines, send them this video. That one share could save them. Final legal disclaimer in simple terms. I'm not your lawyer, and this is not legal advice. Gun laws change, and your exact situation matters. For advice on what you should do, talk to a qualified attorney in your state.